Welcome to Forever and Ever Show with me, Jumoke Adewumi. Today I have with me Reverend Paul Jinadu. Brother Paul, as I like to be addressed, having a conversation on marriage and faith. If you recall, during episode 1 of season 1 of the show, we have Reverend Catherine Ann Jinadu with us. Today, we'll be carrying on that thread. Thank you. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much for accepting my invite to come on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm trusting that this will be very relaxing and a relaxing conversation, which I am personally looking forward to, sir. Yes, you are currently being advised to self-isolate for 3 months. And I just want to know how you're getting along with Mom Kate. How are you getting along 24/7, just the two of you? How are you getting along, sir?
Well, before the lockdown and self-isolating, we've been living the life we live now long time before.
Yes.
Because as a minister, your home is also your office. So we've virtually always worked from home.
Okay.
So we've always been in each other's company almost 24 hours a day. As you can imagine, a minister's work is not an office hour job. You don't go and clock in at 9 o'clock, then you switch off at 5, because people come when they need help, even if it's midnight. So that's why my work hasn't been fixed around going out to an office and then coming home at night. It's when we're not preaching, when we're not traveling, the home is also. That's why you have the Anglican vicars having vicarage next to the church. So their house is also their place of meeting people. So it's not just now. We've always been together. But whether it's now or a long time before, what we have learned, and that's helped us to, shall we say, enjoy rather than endure, 2 things. Space. Not space as of physical rooms, but space in the head.
Okay.
Yes. We have learned to give each other space so that you can be your own person rather than be attached to the partner every day. What are you thinking? What are you doing? Looking back, it looks like it's been an ideal marriage all through, but it's gone through certain formation period that may be a little bit painful. So we learned as we went along. Because when you're a minister, people think because you hear from God, then your marriage should be perfect. I know that's another subject. Sometimes God doesn't tell you things. He expects others who have experience to tell you. That's why God spoke to Moses every single day. But he didn't tell him he was overworking until his father-in-law said, if you continue like this, you wear yourself out. So why didn't God tell him that? So we have to learn certain things. The anointing only comes for ministry. It doesn't come from marriage.
Wow.
You have to learn that because you're a man of God. Like, let me divert a little. I know many people who have PhD in economics and they're still broke because they don't know how to handle money. They only know how to talk about it. So a minister can be good at helping other people to mend their lives, whereas his own life may be in a mess.
Wow.
I say that because when you're in the ministry, people don't come close to help you. They assume you hear from God or you know all the answers. That's why you are able to preach to others and their lives are changed. So we have had to learn to give each other mental space. We're not always in each other's pocket. In the early days of our marriage, we had a joint account where whatever she earned and whatever I earned, we poured into one purse. Then I would be poking my nose at how the money was spent because we have different gifts. Some gather, some scatter. Ministries. Some saver, some spender. That's the way God makes a marriage, a good marriage. And so if my wife says, oh, I want to buy new pair of shoes, and I say, what's wrong with the last two you bought? I offend you. She will say, no, but to go with the new dress. Oh, you bought a new dress. If I'm wearing something and they don't go like rags, I don't give up.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yes. Not because I'm stingy, but because I'm overreacting to the way I was brought up. My mother spoiled me, gave me things I didn't need. So when I grew up, I rebelled against new things all the time. I wanted to be poor. Ordinary. And so my wife has no problem like that from her. Then we evolved to having a joint account different to the way normal people have joint accounts. Presently, my wife has her account. I don't even know the number.
Okay.
It's her money. It's her account. From there, she buys everything we need in the house. Food, and so on. And presents, which I don't remember, people's birthdays. That's her thing. And I have my account. And because in addition to income I get from the church, also an investor, I'm able to make money here and there. My money that comes into my account is more than money I get from the work I do.
Okay.
That one we call it joint account. So she can have access to my account, but I can't have access to
our account.
And that's from that time, peace, because she can spend all her money the way she wants. Me, I have no problem. Because I don't spend anything. I'm as contented as you can. I don't like spending. I just like looking at the account. Except, of course, all the money that goes out for mortgage in those days, for school fees and all the rest. Yes. And now, when I say space, that is one of the reasons we're able to have space, because she doesn't say, oh, can I buy a hat? Can I buy some shoes? Anything, it's her money. So when you have space in your head, two people can be physically close, but not on top of each other. You're not suffocating each other. Because you don't have to say, oh, if my husband doesn't agree, I'm not going to. If my wife doesn't approve, I'm not going to. Yes. So that is a way we're able to manage our lives. Number 2, you want to hear?
Yes, sir.
Demarcation. In our house, we have departments. Yeah. I'm just telling you how we have evolved. It didn't.
Yes, sir. It's interesting.
We have departments. I have discovered that I'm not good at everything. My wife already knows that she's not good at everything, but it took for me to discover. So when I realize there are certain areas where I'm strong and she is weak, other areas where she is strong and I am weak, form departments. So where I am strong, she doesn't ask me, what shall we do? She just trusts me. Where she is strong, I don't say, let's pray about it.
Go get on with it.
Yes. So when it comes to where we are going to live, what kind of house, what area, how many bedrooms, I don't have any idea what to say. I can live anywhere as long as it's clean and safe.
Fantastic, sir.
But she can say, this is where we're going to live. Okay. And I'll find the money. There was a time we moved into this house in 19 what? Remind me now. 1991. 1991. This house. We didn't have a curtain in our sitting room downstairs for about 10 years.
Wow. Interesting.
Because she hadn't found what she liked. But the day she found the curtains that she liked, which was specially ordered from Malaysia or somewhere, because it was then, Bob's your uncle. Furnishing in the house, she would, where we go to buy, what we bought, antique furniture, things like that. Secondly, the kind of schools the children went to, you will decide. That is our area. But if I say God wants us to move from London and relocate to Lagos, tomorrow she won't argue with me and say, but I've got all this, I've got all that. She said, if God told you, I don't need confirmation. Because that is
your department.
That's my department. And because we are not stepping in each other's toes, then she knows that if she was to pray, it would take 6 months to hear God say something. If I pray, within 6 minutes, God will have spoken to me. So she knows she's no good, so let me pray about it. Because God will not speak to her for months. Different gifts.
Different gifts.
For me, I can hear God now. And I hear so clearly. That's the way God speaks to me. So when it comes to God's leading for ministry, for countries where we live, church planting, that's my area. Yes. Where we live, as long as I can sleep somewhere.
Fantastic, sir.
And whatever, it's her house, I am a tenant. Say that jokingly. That means there's no quarreling about what furniture you have, when you change it, and so on. She likes the radio. The radio goes on. I like visual things like television. We don't decide which program shall we watch, because she doesn't. And we don't decide what program shall we listen to on the radio, because I'm not an audio person, I'm a visual person. So once you discover that, you can be in the same house, and yet there's harmony.
There's harmony.
There's no boss. There's no underdog. because we try not to encroach in each other's area of strength. I often say that when you marry somebody, it may take up to 10 years for you to discover who you're falling in love with.
Wow.
When you fall in love with an idea.
An idea.
And where people get discouraged is the idea in their head is different to the person living with. So they want to now change the person to conform with the image they have in their head of my wife should be like that. My wife should be like this. Yes.
Yes, so one other question I would like to ask you, sir, is how do you create time for one another?
Oh, that's simple. That's my wife's department. As I explained before,
yes,
we have different strengths and we have different departments. Her strength is to manage the family.
Okay.
And my weakness is to put everybody else first and put the family last. Since I am called to the ministry, so I minister to the needs of
the people.
Yes, sometimes to the neglect of my own. But because that is my wife's strength, she's had to educate me in a way to manage our time together. And before, I will answer the phone 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Until 11 at night, I'm still available. We are eating, phone rings, I'm coming.
You're picking it up.
No, I go and pick the phone.
Yeah.
Days before mobile phones, so I have to physically leave
the room to go and
get the landline. And I may not be back till everybody's finished food. Especially when the children are growing up. So it wasn't good for the family. So what is when we're eating, behind my back, she will go and unplug the phone. So it won't ring. So she was managing me until later I was able to be persuaded whatever people are going through, it can wait. But it's very, very hard.
That's what I wanted to say, that it must be very hard.
Yeah, because when people now talk to you, maybe a husband and wife, they're having a bad day, and they call me, and nobody else can help them except me. If the husband is giving the wife a tough time. There was a time a husband and wife were quarreling, and the wife went out shopping with a little young baby in the winter. By the time she got back home, the husband had locked the door, so her key did not work. So she called and he wouldn't answer. So she now calls me to say, help me, my husband is locked me and the baby out of the cold. I called, he's not responding. I thought if you call him, he will respect. So when you hear things like that, you don't know food. It's like being a doctor and they say somebody's having a heart attack.
That's what I can imagine.
Yes. So you rush. But the family says you're always there for everybody.
Everybody else.
But can't you even be here for food? So that's when we now devised, thanks to my wife.
Yeah.
We'll have one day off.
Okay.
One day. And I picked Thursday because that's when we didn't have prayer meeting or Bible study. I could. Monday, you visited people who came and spoke. And so that one day, I put it down in my diary, FMF. So if people say, Brother Paul, can you come and do this on this particular day? We want you to speak. We want you to do something. God has spoken to us that you are the man to do it. I look at my diary and I say, oh, FMF. Oh, sorry, I'm not available. I'm not telling a lie because there's something in my diary. I am free, but I'm not free for meetings. I'm free for FMF. For me and family.
For me and family.
I realize that my wife, my children are part of my ministry and they go on my diary.
Yeah.
Go in my diary.
Okay.
So that helped. And then my wife also did something. She booked a holiday and she paid.
Okay.
And she told me, I have paid.
What if they, so you are going?
Yes, because usually in the past, I will book a holiday, take them to the place, usually in the UK, so I can fast for a week.
So you basically ship them out?
Yes. Use the school holidays as a period of being by myself.
I can imagine.
So she had to force me to go with the family. I grew up feeling guilty when I'm not working for the Lord. Feeling guilty. I'm wasting precious time. People need me. Souls are dying. Somebody is in trouble, and so on. So when she did that, then I caught, because that was her strength, I caught the bug of going on holiday. Once that way, we were still in York. York then. We bought timeshare. That was in 1981. I paid for the timeshare for 80 years to go to this holiday resort 2 weeks out of every year. And then we joined a club where you can
exchange.
So you can go around the world if you want. But because it's been paid for, I don't use it, I lose it.
Okay, sir.
So that helped to form that habit.
Okay, that's fine.
So whatever we do or we don't do, 1 day a week and 2 weeks a year, I was available.
Thank you very much, sir. One final question that I would like to ask you, sir, is on relating to the age gap between you and Mommy Kate. I understand there's about, is it 3 or 4 years gap in age?
3 years, 11 months.
Wow.
I don't like to call it 4 years. It seems 4 years too long.
It's too long. So has that ever been an issue for you, sir?
For me, yes.
Okay.
For my wife, no.
Okay.
I'm an African man, but not a typical African man. When I say typical, is that I grew up so from my youth, I've imbibed certain culture, but doesn't mean that the way I was brought up, not underneath it all. And it's traditional thinking is for a husband to be older than
the wife.
But because God chose the wife for me, and he didn't, when God told me my wife would be my wife, and I told you that I often knew when God speaks without any
yes, sir.
He said, that's your wife. I said, okay, I agree. Now I hope she's free, because we never talked. Suppose you say that is my wife, and I go to her and she said, well, she's got a fiance. I have an egg on my face. So I said, okay, I don't know anything about her, but you say she's my wife. ultimately, when she now agreed to marry me, I had the courage to ask her age and discover she was nearly 4 years older. I didn't like going back to the Lord. Have you not been to Nigeria before?
Can imagine.
But you don't know that this thing matters. And God didn't say anything. If He didn't say anything, then it's not as important to God as it is to culture. The same way as marrying a white person. Because I didn't, honestly, I did not consider myself black until I married a white person. Then it became a contrast. Why did I not consider myself black? I considered myself me. I didn't consider myself
Which is very good.
Or my height or my weight. This is me. Right. So also I was very, very shy. I don't know whether being shy was natural or being shy was acquired. Because when I came to the UK and I lived in Norbury next to Croydon, I was the only black in the whole of Surrey. So I certainly integrated very, very fast into the society. After a while, I couldn't speak Yoruba. I spoke English, I fought in English, I dreamt it. When I look at black people in the street, when I went to Berlin or Tottenham for weekends to see my family, my sister. So many black people here, they said, what do you think you are? I began to think white. Right. But being black in a whole county of white people made me a little bit withdrawn because I didn't know what was natural, what was normal, what was acceptable. Sometimes, you know, in our culture, you see people on the street, on your street, it's only two of them. You meet each other, you smile or you greet. But for me, if I smile, they think I'm being fresh. The girl next door went to report me to my landlady that this boy is always smiling when he's approaching me. But what do you want me to do? So then I learned to have a book in my hand, so when I'm meeting people, I pretend I was reading, so I wouldn't have to have a face-to-face contact. You know, remember in those days, in the 50s, people were not used to black people. And so they didn't know how to handle us. If you go to church during prayer and you sat on a pew, before you say amen and people open their eyes, your row will be empty. I never had any problem on the bus because anywhere I sat, people will pretend they've reached where they're going and they'll leave. It's very funny now, but so it made you. So I grew up being shy and self-conscious. So for God to tell me to marry a white person, because it made me stand out. Then to marry somebody
who's older than you.
So with the color, I stood out among the blacks, among the whites. With the age, I stood out among the blacks. So we hid it. So we never said which birthday. Until when it became her 80th, there was no way to hide any longer.
To hide it anymore.
So that is all. Apart from that, if you marry the right person, you don't look at their height or width or. So I would not marry anybody else, or I wouldn't have married anybody else and be happy if they were not the right person, even if everything else, where they tick the box, same tribe, age bracket, and we're not compatible. You know, I told you that I have strength. And I have weakness where my wife is strong. When you marry the wrong person, you'll find that in many areas, you have similar traits, then you have competition. Because if I'm strong where she's strong, we're going to have argument. But when I'm strong where she's weak, I'm the king. Where she's strong when I'm weak, she's the queen. We're not treading on each other's patch at all. And so that's what I thought was more important.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. One final question, sir. I noticed, I don't know whether anybody else has noticed, that Mommy Kate is your chief main cheerleader, and she follows you anywhere that you're minister, at least most times. But you were not very visible in those days when she was starting out with For Liberty. Is there any particular reason why you were not visible? And if there is, how have you been able to support her in this ministry?
Well, let me put it this way. It's always been Brother Paul and his wife. It's hardly Sister Kate and her husband. So the major attention has been focused on me. And my wife being by my side. Which is reasonable, but in the first, what shall I say? In the first, say, 20 years of our marriage, she was in the background so she can be mother to the children. So she, either her profession or her ministry, were always secondary. So that, because I was always away, for example, I lived in York, I used to go to Nigeria 6 times a year. And that was when we had money. When we didn't have money, I would go for 3, 4, 5 months at a stretch. So if she also was working or doing ministry, the children will just be brought up by the television or parents. So she devoted a big chunk of our marriage to me. But come home to an empty house, children, so that it isn't that their father is away and they have mother who's also busy. So it meant that she was a supporter of my ministry. Now, wherever people now see me, they tend to gravitate towards, what do I say? Where are we going? What's the Lord telling you? So I had to support her in the background. Because when I came to Liberty, 90% of the leaders will be asking me first what to do rather than my wife. So I wanted her to be in charge and not mixing I can't be there and be incognito. I can't be there and not make my and I can't be there and not see something I want to either correct or give a suggestion. And that will put some kind of a cap on her freedom. So I'm like in the background, giving support, giving ideas where she could work them out, rather than carrying out my ideas. That's the way we work it.
And it has worked for you tremendously.
If I didn't plan it well, Sister Kate, ministry, helping Brother Paul. I didn't want that.
You don't want that. Thank you very much for shedding light on that. Very grateful. I want to thank you very much, sir, for this time. I wish we could go on and on. Hopefully, in the future, we'll have time to have more conversation on marriage. I know I can sit with you endlessly and we can just chat. The last time we had a conversation, at least we spent 90 minutes talking and I didn't want to leave. So, sir, I want to say a very big thank you, sir, for coming on the show. And I believe that a lot of people would have seen the other side of you in this little time that we have spent together. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Well done.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, now we have come to the end of our conversation with Brother Paul today. And obviously, there were so many things you'd have taken from there. And you can combine that with my conversation with Mommy Kate in January. And you could hear that it said harmony in marriage. So they are thinking alike. Thank you very much. See you next time.